are live once again, and I got my new friend here, Amanda. What's going on?
What's going on?
I'm super pumped about this one. I'm very intrigued. I sometimes, most of the time, as a good podcaster, I feel like, or journalist, you need to do like a research, but sometimes I feel like I shouldn't do a deep dive and I want to like learn it firsthand type of thing. So that's kind of what I did here. I've been loving your pictures, and I think that's kind of how I found you. It was I think Instagram algorithm uh, recommended your photography to me, and I was like, oh, this
Wow,
is
the algorithm working in my favor. This
I
is this
know.
is great news.
It might have been because you had a mini, but I don't think I saw the mini first. I saw like just some great, classic car pictures. And then I was like, is this film? It looks really cool. And then I was like, oh shit, she's got a mini. I immediately just like, hey, what's up? Let's get on, chat on the pod. So I appreciate you being on here.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Happy you asked. I really appreciate it.
And you're in the Bay Area in
Yeah.
California? All
Mhm.
right, so we're not terribly
Yeah.
far away, and it always makes me sad because, I was just up there. I mean, I guess just up last year. I was in staying in the Presidio as I
Oh,
was coming
nice.
back down with my mini. My buddy lives over there, but I went up on a little road trip all through Idaho. I went across over to Oregon and then, or Washington, Oregon, back down into the Bay. Stayed there for a few days putting around in the mini. It would have been cool to meet up
Yeah.
but my buddy is also a photographer and he did some film shots of me at like Golden Gate Park or whatever. I'm not too sure, but super fun, cool. Well,
Very cool. Next time you'll
yeah,
have to let me know. I'm also thinking of heading down south to like LA area in the next little bit, so
yeah.
we'll
Let me
have
know.
to figure something out.
Stop by. I'm in Ventura County, so a little bit north of LA, so
Perfect.
a little closer to you.
Perfect.
Also, I think I forget the exact dates. I think it's the weekend maybe of November in Sonoma Raceway. There's going to be the Minis versus Mustang. Are you going to go check that out?
Ooh, yeah. I hear about it every year, probably for, a decade. I'm not even sure how long it's gone on.
Yeah.
I don't do a ton of like activities, like,
I feel you.
but it is something that's really interesting. Like maybe one day I'll get motivated and I'll actually do it.
Say no more. I know I always want to do that kind of stuff too. I'm like, but do I want to leave my house?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just easier to hop in the car and go somewhere rather than like set up this whole plan to like do an
I
event, etc. But
I
that's
agree.
just a bad excuse. No, I need to get some pep in my step and do these things more.
I agree. No worries. Well, again, thanks for being on. I don't know if you've listened to too many, but I like to start off and just kind of figure out, what attracted you to classic minis. I think I saw on your Instagram you've had yours for 5-ish years now. Classic car,
Sorry
dog.
about
It's
that.
okay. I was gonna say mine was getting rowdy right before we were recording, but he's around here somewhere. But yeah, what got you into classic cars and specifically wanting to own a mini?
Oh, long story. I grew up in a classic car family for sure. But we had Chevrolets, right? And none of them ever ran. So it was kind of like there was always this dream of like a 56 Chevy Bel Air in the driveway and then like a 50 Chevy pickup on the street. And like I grew up staring at those for years, never moving. And I went to a lot of car shows as a kid, like lots of good guys, lots of like local car shows. And where I'm at, there isn't a lot of imports at all, or at least in the
Right,
90s and 2000s, there weren't a lot of imports at all.
right.
So, um, I am British, like by descent.
Hmm.
So my dad was born in England, so I've always had like
Oh,
a little bit of an appreciation for things English. Um, so that kind of coincides with my first car was a 69 Bug. Come on, what are you doing? Get out of here. She's just that's Tulip.
Tulip.
She's
I know.
she's one of
Higgins.
two.
Higgins, my English bulldog, is staring me down right now.
Oh,
He might know that I'm
cute.
I'm I'm watching Tulip right now.
Guest
That's
appearance
okay.
here.
No worries. No worries.
Um, but yeah, my first car was actually a 69 Bug, a 69 Beetle. And again, similar as the cars I grew up with, it did not run. It was like I was walking down the street from my parents' house across from my elementary school, and the super creepy house across the street was like no longer creepy. And inside the garage, there was this really cool Bug. And it turns out the person that lived there had passed away, and his like niece or nephew or something like inherited the house, was fixing it up, and was like, "Hey, take this car." So it didn't have a running engine, but I was the second owner. So like
Wow.
I was really, really excited about it, and it had just the perfect patina. I'm a big patina person.
I
It
can
was
tell.
like original baby blue paint and like white interior and like old 49ers stickers and like 70s parking permits. Oh, it was just like the
Oh
best. But
man.
so I always liked small cars too. So like as much as American cars are these big chunky boys, like I still had this I'm a smaller person. I like smaller cars. So the Bug was kind of the first thing that got me into it. And then yeah, it just built from there. I mean, being a broke kid, dependent on like our own salary and to, you know, work for rent, etc. I still loved having old cars, and I'm very fortunate to have a partner who is like a wizard with fixing old cars. So I never really have to worry about paying to get it fixed or worried about paying to get it worked on. And I'm
Right.
also mechanically inclined myself, so it's like even if he wasn't like in my life, I could probably figure it out. So the Bug got fixed up. I didn't really like it. It was one of those like cars pick your owners, just like owners pick your cars. You know what I mean? It
100%.
had its own personality. Like every time I drove it, it would die to a point where no one could figure out why. And then I sold it and it worked like a charm and never died again. So I was like, oh wow, this car wasn't for me. Um,
Wow.
we went on to Datsuns from there because at the time Datsuns were really, really inexpensive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I got a 510 Shell, and that was like my next old car, and that was again a Shell. We've slowly collected parts, but then we got a 240Z, and like
Dang.
that was so much fun and built up quicker, easier. So that was like my baby. I loved that car. Um, it was really fast. I'd never had a fast car before, and it was like it had a 2.8 liter in it, and it just it went, and it was so much fun. Um, from there, I started to get pickier, and I started to think like, okay, what is it that I really want? And I really wanted a small, small car. And of course, the Mini is like the first thing that comes to your mind, but I wasn't
Right.
I know this might be blasphemous for your channel because it's like mini life, right? And I'm saying like I wasn't like fully committed at the time, but I wasn't. And
No, no,
I
speak
mean,
the truth.
I'm just being as honest as I can. Not to say that I haven't been converted, but at the
No,
time it
no,
was
no.
like I wanted a right-hand drive mini, a Fiat 500 Abarth, or my dream car, like is a Subaru 360 van, and it's a
Okay.
very obscure, weird car. And I kind of wrote that off, like when the time is right, it'll come into my life. But let's see what we can find. And
Oh yeah, those are super cool.
oh, they're so rad. I mean, you could fit it in the back of a pickup truck. It's such a it's such an optical illusion.
I
It's a
love those
really
little
small
like
car.
kind of K-van style. Those are super
Yeah,
cool. I want one of those
yeah,
bad too. Maybe not
and
necessarily that one, but just one of those maybe. They're super cool.
yeah. K cars are the best. Like it's
Yeah.
just the ultimate like efficient vehicle.
Oh,
But
these
anyway,
like these Subaru ones, like their doors like got suicide doors too.
yeah, they do.
Oh, those are
They
cool.
do. Yeah,
Oh
they're
yeah. All
they're
right.
super rad. So
We can't be
I
mad at that
wanted
here.
yeah, I'd wanted that car for many years at that point, and I'd looked for many years at that point, and that's where I was like, you know what? I think what is really special about it is that it's so small. Let me try to
Hmm.
find a Fiat or a Mini, and I was very quickly dissuaded from the Fiat, um, uh, for many many reasons. Come on, dude, get out of here. Come on. She's like, I want attention. Um, I was dissuaded from the Fiat, and the Mini just happened at the perfect time, but it was also serendipitous in a weird way. So it popped up on Craigslist, and the person was like, "I need this gone right now. Like I am moving across the country. I need it gone." In the meanwhile, rewind 3 or 4 years, and my husband and I were walking around this neighborhood in Berkeley, and I'm sure you understand, like, there's a car eye that you have, right? And
Hmm.
all the way down this really skinny driveway, under scaffolding, under tarps, we like spot this Mini, and we're like, that's a Mini right there. And we like pinned it on our phone, and we're like, one of these days we're going to go back. And that was the Mini that popped up 3 or 4 years later, urgently needed to sell it. And yeah, so I
Wow.
contacted the person, and it was like
That
this
same
really,
mini that
yeah,
was wow.
yeah. And like the whole time we're like, hey, when are we gonna like drop a note about that Mini, or when did I, it just felt like the right time.
Right.
And the woman, she was a self-proclaimed clown, and like said that she and her clown buddies would like tear
Self-proclaimed.
up tear up San Francisco in this Mini, and like drive on the sidewalks and like go to gigs. Really, she was in Cirque du Soleil. She was like an acrobat, like extraordinaire.
Interesting.
But so it had all this life, and it had some sort of long name starting with Lottie. So like Lottie is what I call her. I don't remember the rest of it, but sure, her name is Lottie. And it just worked out. Like it was the perfect timing. And that's how I got this Mini here. And yeah, she's a Mark III. Um, and I there's not even words I could describe to like say how much I love this car. It's been such a fun time.
I know exactly that feeling, and you know, I always hear these stories. I've heard, numerous different stories, and they're all different, but that feeling that you get, and maybe it's many, maybe it's just finding your car, like you kind of said, like the car kind of finds you, you find the car, whatever it is. But I have that feeling. And even mine, it was a piece of junk under a tarp, but it was like I saw it and I was like, that's mine. Like it was like, it's just like,
Yeah.
and it just, yeah, it gives you this feeling. And mine's been down for a while with some repairs, and it's the feeling I get from not being able to go like drive it is
Yeah.
just as bad, It's like I
Yes.
didn't realize how much I missed, even if I'm just taking it out on going on, PCH or whatever it is, just for a quick little jaunt. It's just, gives you that kind of feeling. So
Oh
I
yeah.
completely understand. So it's a Mark III. What color is
Yeah.
it? It's like a light blue.
Yeah, it's a baby blue. I'm not sure what the original color is. There's a lot of like conspiracy, not a conspiracy, but
Yeah.
it's very unclear. It's a New Zealand car. And
Oh.
yeah, and it's a Leyland. I'm so sorry. I'm having my partner come corral these pups right now because there's pups outside. Come on, go. Get out
That's
of here.
okay. I think mine was just squeaking his beer a second ago. So this might just be the dog episode.
Featuring the dog. I mean, I'm here for it. So I don't
Oh,
know about the
yep.
rest of your audience, but I'm here for it.
Well, if not, they can
Um,
stop listening.
yeah, I don't know what her original color is. Like, so originally we thought it was kind of, and please forgive me, I don't know the technical names.
That's okay.
Uh, but it was like the golden yellow kind of color.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we tried to do some digging with like the New Zealand license plate and where it was registered and all this stuff, and then it was said it was
Right.
white.
Huh.
But my husband has repainted her in the original color that we had, which was this blue. Um,
Mm.
and in the process, he saw only yellow, underneath in the layers. So I don't know, but right
I
now
think New
she's,
Zealand had a couple different colors that weren't in UK or US markets, so who knows? It's a nice color.
yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's like a baby blue with a Old English white top, and then it has Old English white wheels and turquoise interior. That's original.
Ooh.
Totally clapped out, but like I don't have the heart to change it at all. Um,
Right.
yeah, I kind of want to put it back to the original yellow or orange or whatever it is because it's just
Mm-hmm.
so cool, but I still don't know if that's original, so I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of fits that time period, both of those colors, so
Yeah.
who knows? You could go either way. Your husband painted it himself or had it painted or
Yeah, he painted it himself. Yeah, I think for the most part. He's a mechanic by trade.
okay.
But of course we're going to talk about him. He's a mechanic
No,
by
I was just
trade,
curious.
but he restored like he's actually moved on to like physics stuff, working on physics stuff. But prior to that, he would restore like Porsches and Jags and
Oh, cool.
Benzes and like all kinds of crazy 60s, 70s, 50s even. So he worked at a shop that would do full restorations, including paint, etc. So he was
Mm-hmm.
able to like use the paint booth, source all the materials, and I think he kind of
Gotcha.
used this as an opportunity to practice
Mm-hmm.
because paint isn't something he did a lot, and it looks great. It's like
Mm-hmm.
really, really nice. It's the nicest car that we
Yeah,
we
the
have
only
by
reason I
miles.
ask is I get oh yeah, really? Yeah, I just get like motivation to like want to paint my car myself, and then I'm like, maybe I'll just let a professional do it. But then I'm like, I feel like I could do it. I just do it. Do I want to spend the time to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
the
that's the
that's the
thing. It's a
thing.
grind. It's a grind. Like prep is all like is 90% of the job and the prep is so annoying and long and stuff, but it's worth it if
Mm-hmm.
it looks great at the end.
It's true. It's true. So I think what was it earlier this year was 5 years that you've had the Lottie.
Yeah.
And how is that like? I know that you're, and we'll kind of maybe we'll transition into your photography, but has she been like this a staple of like your photography and kind of given you a new kind of perspective, or were you always kind of into photography, into photographing cars, or what?
I don't know how to I don't know. So it's been an emotional time owning her. As you said, yours currently is down and it pulls at your heart. Like she's been down a couple times in the 5 years that have been difficult. Um, as far as photography goes, it's photography is a weird one. I started it at a really like weird time in my life where I was feeling very creatively blocked, where I didn't feel like I was creating anything that was representative of how I felt about myself or how I felt about life in general. And
Mm-hmm.
on our anniversary, my husband bought me a film camera and said, "Here you go." And my prior experience to photography, like really, was middle school, black and white, like photography class. Donated cameras, donated equipment, etc. Um, I think cars became a really natural progression to like study in a way
Mm-hmm.
because I was really trying to figure out composition. I was really trying to figure out color. I was really trying to study like the whole plethora of things in photography, and lockdown had happened 6 months later. So it was like I didn't feel like I could go outside and study these things per se, except I could go to my driveway and study these things just fine because I
Mm-hmm.
have more than the Mini in the driveway. I have quite a few cars in the driveway. And again, my husband works on cars for a living. So a lot of these cars that you see these pictures of are like friends or at the job or in my driveway or on a fun adventure that we're taking with other friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a byproduct to really study photography. And then it turned into a love of taking pictures of cars. So it was, yeah, it's kind of a convoluted, and you know, as a photographer, I think a lot of times, or any artist, why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I choosing this? You know, and that's been a big question. Why do I keep taking pictures of these cars? And it started to become documentary in a way. I've grown up in the Bay Area here. A lot of the cars that you see on the street, I've seen my whole life. You know, I've had this running list of locations of, you know, there's a 64 Mustang here, there's a 72 Monte Carlo here, there's a, you know, Datsun 1200 here. Like, and it's been really cool to revisit all these scenes. And then while it's a little bittersweet, a lot of these cars are going away. So
Mm-hmm.
these scenes have become documentation of like, this is how this neighborhood looked for 40 years and now this car is gone. So there's a lot there. But it really was study, honestly, like studying composition. I shoot with Hasselblad, and square format was really difficult for me to wrap my head around at first. And the cars were just the perfect way to practice.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, I've always loved photography. I always wanted to be I wouldn't say be a photographer, but I always wanted to get into it more. I've always had some sort of camera, and then obviously it's been easier as phones developed and I have one in my pocket. But I remember so many times in my life, like, all right, I have a camera, like a actual camera now. Let
Mm-hmm.
me take it with me places, and I could never figure out what to take pictures of. And I see all these great photographers I follow that have, you know, landscape or whatever it is, and I'm like, man, I just don't have like an eye for that. But getting my mini, I feel like sort of kind of maybe see it. I don't know. I'm probably not that good, but like I've learned a little bit more since I've had subject matter and like following these people. I'm like, oh, like I'm just kind of slowly learning. So for me, it's like kind of brought out that creativity that you were kind of talking about, creating something fun and realistically, that's why I started my Instagram because it's fun to take pictures of my car. And I realized
Yeah.
that's what I like to take pictures of, that and other cars, but the patina of it that you mentioned earlier, and then finding
Mm.
that gritty kind of textures in the background, and that's why I'm so obsessed with your Instagram and it being film and the square and everything. Like so many of these pictures are, if you didn't see like a solar panel in the background in the house, like you'd be like, man, what time period is this? But
Oh,
it's just
yay.
like, oh, I love it, and I was like, this is epic, and so you're doing a fantastic job. By the way, I don't think I've
Thank
said the
you.
Instagram name. It's a underscore Grainy Day, right? Grainy Day, I
Yep,
think.
Grainy day.
Grainy Day. Go check it out. Amazing stuff. But yeah, I mean, I like I brought I used to live in Hawaii with my wife, and we went back recently. And I brought my camera, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take so many pictures, and I didn't take anything. We went on one hike, and I took a few pictures. I probably took more pictures of other tourists on the hike for them than I took of like ourselves. And it's just like I want to take pictures of what I want to take pictures of, and it's my car
Mm.
essentially. So like,
Hey, that's awesome.
but that's fun. I like that. I love that kind of answer. Um, my kind of next thought was there are a lot of your mini. Do you is it kind of like a weekend warrior thing? Do you take your mini out for photography? Do you daily drive it? Is there, kind of what's your process
Oh,
of finding this stuff? Because it's kind of like these in my head when I'm looking like scrolling through your Instagram, it's like these adventures. Either you're driving somewhere and stopping like as you see things, or you're like walking down the streets of the Bay Area, like finding these great moments.
yeah, it's so I would definitely categorize her as a daily driver first and foremost. Like for at least 2 years we didn't have a modern car because my modern car's engine exploded factory from a
Uh oh,
factory like
defect.
bad thing. Yeah.
Uh
So
oh.
here we are depending on a 71 Datsun 521 pickup and the 72 Mini, and
Nice.
neither of them are failing us. Like my husband was driving 55 miles and back, like 110 miles to go to work every day in
Wow.
one of the two cars. So
Wow.
they are definitely daily drivers. I do try to give her breaks, right? But
Right.
and then the inevitable, like a real break happens, right? But yeah, I'd say 95% of the time the pictures you see of this car are byproducts of us being out running errands, or us, like, we just so happen to drive past something cool,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're seeing is like, I have to get a picture of this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, and I'll be very candid, like lately I have really enjoyed taking Lottie on adventures and then getting these photos that I feel really proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a newer development of me wanting to take her and photograph her, and she be kind of like the shining star of the whole reason we're out.
Right.
But in the past, no offense, Lottie, it's really just been like, wow, look at this really cool old building. Let's get a picture that we stumbled upon. Let's get a picture of her
Right.
in front of it. Like, I would carry
Right.
my
Right.
camera with me everywhere for a long time until I couldn't anymore. The Hasselblad is becoming incredibly beat up, so I really need to like be careful with it at this point. But for about 2 years, I carried both the Canon and the Hasselblad with me at all times, and that's one of the reasons you'd see all these pictures is that, sometimes you're not going to go back, sometimes you're not going to see it again, sometimes
Right.
you have to take the picture right now. And
Right.
learning that lesson the hard way is one of the reasons I would keep my cameras on me all the time. But
I
definitely
love
a
it.
daily driver, grocery getter. I mean, my ride or die.
I love that. I love that. One of my favorite pictures that, I don't know if it was taken with your film camera or not because it's not square, it doesn't look like, but in front of that like theater with the lights and it's, just parked up there. And it's again one of those pictures if it didn't have the little, whatever it says on there, the new Barbie movie, I think. You would never know what time period that was, and it's
Yeah,
just
that
I
was
don't know.
with the Hasselblad. That was like a really tricky photo that you bring up. We were
Yeah.
just driving around all day, and we were trying to see the Barbie movie, and one of the theaters we went to is sold out, and so we just drove around for a few more hours, and there was a really late showing at that theater.
Uh
We
huh.
found that parking spot. I didn't have a tripod. I didn't have a cable. I was testing out a new back that was a different aspect ratio, as you can see, for the
Okay.
Hasselblad.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I leaned my camera on a barrel and put some rocks under it and like held the shutter for a few seconds, and I just was like, please come out. And it came out.
It looks awesome. So, I'm not familiar with like film photography. So, what is the importance of having the tripod? And I don't know what would you say a wire? Would you say I have a didn't have a
It's
wire
like
with
a
me?
shutter release cable.
Oh,
It's
oh, oh,
so,
release cable.
yeah. So in night photography, which I freaking love, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so cool. Um, I know with digital cameras, you can often change the ISO enough to make it to
Mm-hmm.
where you can shoot in pretty dark conditions without a tripod.
Mm-hmm.
With film, that isn't as much the case. I generally shoot anywhere from like 100 ISO to 800 if I'm lucky and I have the money to spring for 800.
Okay.
Um, they have film stocks that are much higher, 16 and 32, but even then, I'm not aware of any color film stocks that are as high as 32.
Right,
And
because
the
you have to
six,
get the film with that ISO, so it's like your whole thing. Okay.
exactly,
Yeah, so you have to
exactly.
kind of prep for it.
So, yeah, if you're shooting at night with a film camera, there's a lot of tricks. And I mean, people push and pull film, which means, you have the ISO that's already on the film, say it's 800 or something, and then you rate your scene with a light meter at a much higher ISO. And then in development, they can actually develop it longer or shorter and
Mm.
pull out more of the detail to match the ISO that you actually shot for. I never do that. I just kind of go, I just kind of wing it. So if you don't have a tripod and the shutter release cable, simply pressing the shutter can cause enough shake to blur the
Yeah,
image.
I was just gonna
So the
say
shutter
probably.
release cable is like a auxiliary cable that just kind of trips the shutter and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't cause camera shake. Yeah, it's a little bit of a process. So without a stable surface at the very least, like your picture's going to be blurry. There's a second picture that I took that was blurry and messed up. It's actually kind of cool, but it was like not what I was going for, and I had a feeling. I said, I think that barely little push that I did is going to make it blurry. I'm going to take another one.
Uh-huh.
And that second one was the one that you see.
Wow, love that. That's super cool. I mean, it's kind of it, photography in a way, and especially film photography, from what I know little of it, and just learned some more. So thank you for that. It's kind of like owning a classic car in a way, like right. It's like got its little
You can say
idiosyncrasies,
that again. Oh my
but it's
gosh.
worth it in the end, right? You deal with all the pain in the ass things, and then you get to go drive the car. You deal with finding a barrel and rocks, and taking your time with the shutter button to get this beautiful picture at the end.
Yeah. It's
Do
also
you do?
very mechanical, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
super cool. I mean, it's again, like I said, it's something that I've always been interested in, and maybe one day I'll get a film camera. But it's I don't. Maybe that will spark my interest, like you. Maybe I will do it, bring it with me more places.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
sure you've heard of Peter, what's his name? The famous YouTube dude, the photographer. What's his name? God, I'm drawing a
Peter
blank.
McKinnon? Is that who
Yes,
you're
McKinnon,
talking
McKinnon,
about?
McKinnon.
Yes,
Didn't he recently get into like film photography? And he was like
he
kind of
did.
going,
Yeah.
yeah. That
I
kind of sparked my interest again not too long ago. I saw one of his videos and I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that guy is, you know, like okay, so I don't shoot digital. I've literally never shot digital. No hate at all. Like I'd
Yeah,
really like to get into it at this point, especially.
yeah,
Um, but it's like hard thinking of investing in a whole system, etc.
yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
that's a different thing. But
Mm-hmm.
um so I wasn't really like familiar with any digital anything.
Mm-hmm.
And um he actually featured me on a video talking about film people, which blew my mind. Um
Really?
I was utterly like shocked, and it it yeah, it was really really surprising. It He put me on this list next to these people that I've respected since day one, that have like been in the game for a really long
Uh-huh.
time. It felt very surreal to be, associated with those people and with this
Wow.
person that, and I hate to admit it, I wasn't that. quite aware of like the significance of like who this person was, etc.,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not in digital.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it was I felt extremely honored and really humbled to
Was
be
that
included
recently?
in that. Yeah, it was like maybe a month ago.
I might have watched it because I've been watching his videos lately on film stuff because it was a little more interesting than the digital. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's a very interesting YouTuber for sure.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's super cool and well deserved because I mean, I don't know if you specifically said how long you've been doing photography, but it looks like you've been doing it since day one.
Uh,
I mean, from from my opinion, like I see a lot of people that I don't know, maybe it's just my style. I love your style. Um, and like I said, I can't get enough of it. I would have reposted every single. I didn't want to be that guy that went through your Instagram and you get like 1,000 likes. I didn't want to be that guy, but it's awesome. I absolutely love it, and kudos to you for picking it up
Thank
and enjoying it
you.
and sharing it with the world. It's amazing. So everyone go
Thank
check it
you
out.
so much. That's
It
very
really
kind
is.
of
I
you to
love it.
say.
It's very nice. I was
Yeah.
actually before we got on the show, I was looking at your gallery that you can kind of get prints and stuff like that, and
Yeah. Which I need to
definitely.
update TBH, but uh so oh man, like if I when I tell people my process, I think I'm much more serious than I really am. Like I don't have all this gear. I don't have all this stuff. I have two cameras that I use regularly, one medium format, one 35 millimeter. The 35 millimeter is the one I got as a gift from my
Mm,
husband.
yeah.
I've been shooting film since 2019, and
Wow.
that's like the first time I ever took photography really seriously. It's the first time I ever got into it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about film, I mean, I get comments like what you're saying a lot, and it's like very humbling. But I think the reason there's this impression is because of the medium that I chose. Film
Yeah.
is unforgiving. And
Mm-hmm.
when you make a mistake, you learn a really hard lesson that sticks, I think, a
Yeah.
lot harder than if you're taking multiple exposures at once and then picking what works, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've since I started in 2019, the pandemic happened a year later, right? And
Right.
it started to become really hard to get film developed. So then I started developing all my film at home, which I did. I still kind of do. Like maybe last month, I started bringing my 35 mil back to the lab because it's torture doing it at home, honestly. But oh my gosh, the amount of times I've ripped the film trying to put it in, or I've opened the canister like a dummy, like not just being thoughtless, or
Right.
scratches on it or all the dust. Like I don't have any patience for any of it. I edit all of it on my phone. Like I do it while I'm like waiting for appointments. Like it's a very integrated part of my life, but it's I do it for the pleasure and for the joy of it. And when that starts to diminish or gets difficult, I almost always try to like take a break. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I shoot a lot of things that aren't cars, honestly. I try to like look
Mm-hmm.
at things in a different perspective, etc. But yeah, I it's really like another appendage is this film stuff. But I also know a lot of people that will never touch their negatives with their bare hands and like have all of these like
White
their
glove.
cameras are totally perfect and there's no scratches. I mean, I have duct tape all over my Hasselblad and people look at me like, how could you do that to this camera? And it's like, I use it. Like, I don't know
Trying
what
to
to
keep it
tell
alive.
you. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like still take pictures with it. So,
Man, that's awesome. I love to hear that. It's just as exciting for me as keeping a car alive.
mm-hmm.
You can tell your passion comes through in it, and you can tell you're not forcing you're doing kind of what you love. So awesome. Keep it up. Everyone go follow her. Grainy Day. Sorry. Underscore
Ah,
underscore Grainy Day.
I have to say, so I just have to throw this out there. when I
Yeah.
created this screen name, I was like, I swear there's like somebody with a name like this that is a big deal in the photography world. And I searched far and low on Instagram, like
Uh-huh.
maybe another platform, and I couldn't find anybody. So I went with this username, and then I find out that there's a YouTuber that's Grainy
Uh,
Days with an S, and people get us
uh-oh.
confused a lot. And I'm sorry, Grainy Days. I didn't think I'd ever be here. So like,
Well, I don't know who
for
Grainy Days is, so
I gotta give them the props because I guess they created that name. I don't know.
is it a film photographer?
Again, I don't really
See, no
know.
one
I
knows who that
mean,
is. We all we know is underscore Grainy Day on Instagram. Let's go.
oh
Wah, wah, wah,
man,
wah.
I
That's
love
funny.
the hype horns. I'm here for
Yeah,
that.
that's my thing. I wish I know I'm gonna see if I can get that uploaded into my like little media thing. I can start like hitting the media horn. Oh man, so awesome! I appreciate you sharing that with me. It's inspiring and I love it. So, like I said, everyone go check it out. But more importantly, back to the Lottie.
Minis.
And I don't know, time frame, because obviously you're taking pictures and stuff like that. But it looks like you've had some fun adventures in her Yosemite Park and maybe some camping trips or whatever. Anything coming up or anything that sticks out in your mind as one of your favorite kind of trips or memories with her?
Oh, oh my gosh, absolutely. Coming up, I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing this rally through the fault
Ooh,
line of it's called the fault line, and it's at the beginning of October, and it's through Central California, like Hollister, Paso Robles to like Morro Bay, and we've done it before. We did it in the 510. Um, and yeah, so that's something I'm really excited about. Some of like my favorite photos I've ever taken were actually like on the rally when we did it in 20. I'm wearing the shirt. 2021. I don't know. One of them.
what's the rallies called? Fault Line?
The fault line. Yeah. Um, and then past trips. Yosemite was like a very big highlight recently. We hadn't gone on. We hadn't gone on a decent trip since she'd been kind of under construction. She like the something with the transmission went out when we got her. The second synchro was already kind of messed up 5 years ago.
Right.
But she has a 1275 in her and had a 1275 in her, and she was pretty like everything was there. She just needed some love, and we drove her very hard for a few years, and then she kind of like the transmission gave out, and we weren't really sure what it was, and we didn't. I'm sure transmissions are not cheap and they're like back ordered.
That's what I'm waiting
And
for right
so
now
I'm so
since
sorry.
June.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So you understand. So we
I
didn't
get
like
you.
we had these other cars, so we were like, all right, Lottie has been driven hard, hard, hard for a while, and this was right after my favorite trip with her, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. But so we let her like rest for a year, and then my husband finally looked at it, and the clutch sheared off, and it was just a clutch. So we replaced the clutch, and she's back. Second synchro still out, but she is back, and that's when we took her to Yosemite. It was shortly after that. Um, and I hadn't been camping in Yosemite in a really long time, and some lovely, wonderful friends like hit us up the week before and was like, "Hey, we have an extra spot. You want to go camping?" I say, "Yeah, I'd love to go camping." And we're thinking we're gonna. Well, my husband's thinking we're gonna take one of the newer cars, and I said, "No,
Nope.
we're gonna take Lottie, like little car in a really big place. We're gonna go do that."
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. But I think my favorite trip with her, we had a good friend who we have a good friend who found a mini up in Grants Pass, Oregon, which
Mm-hmm.
is, I don't know, It's like 10 hours away from where I'm at. I don't know what that
Right.
translates to miles, honestly. Um, and he really wanted to get this mini, but there's a really tight timeline. And basically, I had to be somewhere by 10 a.m. on a Thursday, and we only had Wednesday to pick it up. And he asked us if we could help him get the mini, and we said, okay, we're going to take our mini to get the mini. And he thought we were crazy, and we were like, no, we're gonna do it. So at 4 a.m. on Wednesday, we hop
Wow.
in Lottie, and it's November, so it's like foggy and raining and kind of
Yeah.
crazy,
Only getting
and
worse as you go north.
only getting worse as we go north. And yeah, we just booked it up there on 5, and no problems. We got there around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We get to the person. It's I'm pretty sure it's a 72 mini. Like I'm pretty sure it's a Leyland mini, just like mine. And it like looks like the same car, but it's orange. And then we find out from this guy that there was a guy in the 90s or early 2000s or something that imported like 20 New Zealand minis in a batch to Oregon, and ours was
Wow.
one of them. So like both of these
Whoa.
minis may have come over together. I don't know. It's just so cool. So before we even
Wow.
picked up the car, we told our friend, like, has this guy driven this car? Like, is it gonna make it back to California? We know that ours will make it, but for this, say, yeah, he's been on many trips with it. And then we get there, and the
Sure.
guy's like, oh yeah, I've taken it on 30-minute, 1 hour drives. I was like, oh
Oh
god.
no. Just went down to
So
the market.
exactly. So we drove out to the coast. I got some of my favorite pictures of her ever on that trip. And it was just beautiful. Like the rain kind of stopped, but it was very foggy, and it was like this Oregon rocky, like pink, foggy suns. Oh, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But and then yeah, the we got to Eureka, and our buddy's alternator went out, and I still had to be home by 10 a.m. the next day. So, and I do not condone this. I do not condone this. But after many different tries of many different things, he went into the auto parts store, got like really high intensity flashlights, duct taped the flashlights to his fenders, duct tape a flasher with a Sprite bottle in the back, so the whole back was like pink lit up like a. And we drove from Eureka to where we're at in the East Bay. It was at least 3 hours like that. Like
Wow.
every 30 minutes to an hour, we'd be like, hey, the flashlights are going out. We'd pull off, replace the batteries. It's raining, it's pouring. I mean, a cop pulled up to us. It was like 1 in the morning, and he flashed the big beam on my friend, and my friend was like,
Just
and
trying
then
to
the
get it
cop,
home.
and then the cop just shook his head and drove off. So
Wow, that's
it was,
hilarious.
yeah, it was. So we left at 4 in the morning, and we got back at 3 in the morning.
There's nothing like adventures like that with classic cars. It's just the little. Oh man, I love that kind of
It
stuff.
was the best. It was really the best.
Oh man, wow. Yeah. So, Amanda, I don't know if you've. I think you said you've watched a couple episodes or listened, but
Yeah,
have you listened to the Patty Probe?
yeah.
So, for those that don't know, the Patty Probe is just
Rutro.
some maybe controversial questions in the mini world. Nothing too crazy, but I think the first one I always like to start with is what is your favorite mini variant?
I feel so basic. That was like one thing about this Patty Pro that I was like, ooh, I'm about to have some basic answers. But honestly, like a Mark One Cooper S. Ugh.
How is that basic?
I mean, ugh, that's like the dream.
Do you know that I how I found mine?
No.
Well, I have a both my stories are kind of fun, but my first one I found on Craigslist, like you, it was just an abomination of a mini, and I just kind of jumped on it, and I think it was listed for like $3,000 or something like that at the time. It was like 2016 maybe, I forget. And I didn't necessarily have 3 grand to drop on a project car, but I had a old motorcycle that I had found on Craigslist for free like the prior year that I put back together.
What kind of
And the guy ended
motorcycle?
it was Honda Rebel 250, nothing special,
Oh,
but I made it
cool.
into like a cool little bobber chopper type of thing. And
Cool.
long story short on that, the guy straight traded me on it. I just like we just swapped, and I was like,
Oh,
so basically I got that one
the
for free.
dream. The
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, so fun. And then I guess it's been almost 2 years now that it's been sitting in my garage, but one of our buddies in our group like sent a offer up, I think offer up like link, and it was a how kind of links are for minis. It was like whatever the year that which was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Mini Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it, I was like, it was like 3 grainy, shitty photos of it. And I was like, we were kind of like looking at it, and I started looking. I was like, I think that might actually be a Cooper. And then I was like zoomed in on the engine, and I saw like the stampings. I was like, oh shit, that's a Cooper S engine. And then I like zoomed in on the car, the shell, and I was like, that's some Cooper S stuff. Like
Yeah.
just like some things that was like that could be a. I was
You
like,
could
ah,
see
shit,
the
we're going.
gleam of the like trim in the
Right.
grainy, terrible flip phone photo.
Yeah. Yep. And I was like, I asked my wife, and skipping some parts here, but we basically got rented a trailer and a truck, and we went up there. It was in Bakersfield, and I get there, I was like, just play it cool if this is a Cooper S. And we were like, I like walked up, I was like, oh yeah, here's your money, and like and we're just like, load it up, babe, load it up.
Yeah.
And it was
Hey,
I got the heritage certificate back, and it was a Mark 167 Cooper S. Yeah, it needs a
find of the
lot of work.
century.
Needs a lot of work, but it has its original engine. It has a ton of parts, a ton of original stuff, and some period correct like modifications and stuff like that. So it'll be a cool project once I finish up the other one. So, but
Hey,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's
we
so cool.
digress. That was basically
Yeah.
saying that's not a bad answer of Mark One Cooper S.
Yeah.
So
Mark One Cooper S. I mean, it's just so
it's just
it's the
iconic.
quintessential design, right, in my
Yeah,
opinion, first of all. I love the
yeah,
slidey windows, the out hinges. I mean, silly, silly. I mean, I like Mark Twos too, actually, because
yeah.
since mine's a Mark III, it has that grill, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have a love for the grill, but
Yeah.
this Cooper S just has everything that makes driving it so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it would be nice to just have it just exactly like that. And
Yep.
then all the pretty stuff too.
Of course. Do you see yourself owning more minis?
Yes, absolutely.
Good answer.
um, no, I think in my dreamiest of worlds, I would get a Mark One Cooper S that I would daily drive, and then I would make this a rally car. I'd make Lottie
Ooh.
a rally car. That's kind
Ooh.
of, I mean, since day one, honestly, that's kind of been my thought. I also, and from listening to your podcast, I realize it's very blasphemous, but I like the Riley Elf, and I like the other like
No, no.
renditions of the Mini. I think they're really cool.
I, no,
So yeah,
I am 100% on that. Everyone makes fun of me because I think if outside of Mark One Cooper S or the standard saloon body, I think my next favorite is the Riley Elf or Wolseley
oh,
Hornet. I
I love it.
like they're
Oh my gosh,
so fun,
yes,
and when you kind of like make it like look like a little bit of a race car, you put some like
yeah.
wider wheels on. Dude, they're so cool.
And that interior. I mean, when you
Yeah,
daily drive your car,
yeah,
you actually want a little bit of comfort. This is something that I think people don't quite understand, but when you're actually daily driving your car, you really want
yeah,
a cushier seat and you want like a cup holder somewhere because I can't
yeah.
tell you how many times I've been on my way to work and I've like spilled my coffee everywhere. Um,
No, I'm with you on
so
that.
yeah, I'm a big fan of like all of them.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. like that. Is there any mini modifications that you've done and or plan to do that you really like?
I love having a 1275. She screams and it's so loud, which is really annoying, honestly. But um, so maybe deadening that a tiny bit would be nice because I'll tell you, when you're driving, 400 miles up Highway 5 and you like have
Yeah.
earplugs in the whole time and it's still buzzing.
Oh man.
Um, but I love the 1275. So, and that was the thing we were gonna do if it didn't have it. We got really lucky, I feel,
Yeah.
because it came with it, a seven engine too, and it's been so reliable and just so wonderful. I can't like speak greatly enough about it.
Oh, nice.
Um, we have discs in the front, which is amazing. She came with drums, and I hate drum brakes, so the discs have been an awesome upgrade. Again,
Yeah.
these are like daily driver things, I think, more than anything.
No, those are
Um,
great upgrades.
I kind of want to put in a bigger, like the dual gas tank, but
Oh yeah.
since I use it for groceries and stuff, I really don't want to sacrifice my trunk. So I go back and forth between doing that. What's an upgrade
I
I
think
want to
you could do
do?
the like the later model SPI engine or SPI or MPI gas tanks. I think are slightly bigger. I think
Hmm,
so. Maybe
I'll have to
get
look
you a
into
little
it.
bit. Yeah, get you. I think it is. Get you a little bit more. Maybe
Yeah,
I
I
could be wrong on
definitely
that.
got to look into it because it is, like it feels like I get such good gas mileage, and I do get good gas mileage. It's like
Yeah.
35, maybe
Yeah.
40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you're still filling up, so often. There was something else that I'm at the point now where I kind of do want to redo the interior a little bit, which isn't like a mechanical upgrade. It did have like a really shitty carb on it, which has been upgraded, and that made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of have this like, so I know two people, each of them have minis, and one of them, and I could be getting these two confused, so let me just preface, but I'm pretty sure one of them has a 998 with a supercharger,
Uh-huh.
and the other has like a 1275 with like, I don't know, a twin turbo maybe, which is utterly insane. And both of them rip harder than any mini I've ever seen. So I didn't really care for it before, but then when I saw both of their cars, I thought,
Yeah.
maybe maybe
That's
I'll do
one
something
of the
like that.
questions I ask sometimes is like A series, Honda swap, or other,
Ah,
I'm definitely on the A series fence, but like
me
if
too.
I'm going to do something like that, you can pull a lot of power with those superchargers or turbo kits,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still like on the stock engine. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But and
I'm a
it's still
big
got
A
that
series
character.
fan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the A series. I mean, it
Yeah.
gives it the character, and I feel like you feel me on this with kind of your love of like the grittiness, and but that's the character of the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it loses a lot of that. I'm sure it's fun as hell to drive an electric Mini or a Honda Swap Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're probably rowdy as hell, but like I like that weird tappity sound. I like I don't know.
Well, what my husband jokes about doing is, like, say we find a shell, because this is the only time I would ever not use an A series, is if it didn't come with an A series.
Right.
We have some BMW R60 5, I think, and people actually put those BMW engines in minis.
Mm.
I guess they're like half a Porsche engine essentially, and like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's like if you took I'm pretty sure a 356 engine and you like cut it in half. That's essentially what these BMW
Oh.
motorcycle engines are.
Okay. Okay.
So he's like, that would be like the strangest, coolest like thing to put in there. And since we might have it laying around, we should try that.
Yeah. No, that would be super fun. I would be down for that. Well, Amanda, I appreciate you being on. And like I said, everybody go follow underscore Grainy Day on Instagram, not YouTube, unless you have a YouTube.
One
Check it
day,
out.
we'll see.
Support. Support. Go check out our mini. Go check out our photography. Anything else you want the people to know?
I mean, long live the mini. Um, if you've been on the fence, oh, it's an old car, I don't know. Remember that for decades, people drove this as their daily car on road trips across the country to get groceries on bumpy post war roads. You can do it
I
and
love
do it.
it. I love it. I love it. We gotta end on that's gonna be the Instagram clip, I think. That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you again. Thank you so much. We'll chat later, and I will catch you guys on the next
Thank you.
one.